Hello, everybody, and welcome to Creator Cafe's Tech Talk Thursday. It's Thursday already. Where does the week go? We've got a wonderful guest joining us in a minute. We have Janine, who is a sales coach for professional consultants and service providers and is the creator of Nurture First Selling Methodology for LinkedIn. And we're going to be talking all about LinkedIn, how to sell on LinkedIn, how to contact people on LinkedIn, and how to do it in a nice way where it doesn't feel blech. And that's what Janine is all about. So, but first, let's bring on Mr. McKenna. Martin, how are you doing today? What have you been up to? More importantly, have you built your greenhouse yet? I was a bit worried about you. I hadn't seen you for 14 hours online. I thought you'd, I don't know, done something with your greenhouse. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. I mean, normally saying hello from sunny Edinburgh at this point, it's miserable out there today. And so rain has stopped play to some degree. But the bad news is I did manage to break one piece of glass. So that is very bad news. So new glass will be on order. A quote is in the pipeline at the moment. The really bad news is the glass smashed into 1,000 pieces because it's safety glass and it's meant to. But it's all fallen onto a pea gravel base, and therefore I can't go and hoover it up because that'll just hoover up all the pea gravel and the glass. So I've got to get on my hands and knees and pick out millions and millions of bits of glass, and it's pouring with rain at the moment, so that ain't happening.
That's not happening.
I'd much rather be here talking about LinkedIn.
Great. Well, we have a very special guest to join us. Janine, if you're ready, let's bring Janine on and say hello and welcome to the show. Janine, welcome to Thursday's Creator Cafe. How you doing?
Hello, good, thank you. Thank you for having me. And yeah, looking forward to what's coming up in the next hour or so.
Very welcome to have you. For people who don't know what you do and who you are, maybe you'd just like to introduce yourself and tell the audience all about yourself.
Thank you. Yes, so I am a sales strategist. I have created and just trademarked, which is very exciting, something called Nurture First Selling, which is a human first sales approach where we lead with being a human being before we're a business owner. And yeah, it's all of the systems that you need in your business and the methodology to be able to go and quite quickly implement this into your business and start seeing results from it.
Fantastic. Well, we're all about LinkedIn. As many people know about this show, we actually go live to LinkedIn regularly every week. We're content creators and we have history in the IT world, and we've got lots of contacts and things like that. So we're really interested in, first of all, how to sort of successfully grow on LinkedIn and some of the approaches that you talk about in your methodology. And it's great that you actually trademark that as well, which is fun. So shall we start off with, so many people in our audience post on LinkedIn regularly. They show up all the time and they try to add value and they don't see many contacts or clients coming in from that. Sort of, what's the place that's actually missing from them, and how really could they do a little bit better? And why is their sort of content not converting? What's some sort of approaches and some reasons why people regularly post and don't really see any sort of conversion with their selling?
The results from it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll give you a little bit of my backstory. So I, for many years, actively avoided LinkedIn. I had a very nice network on Instagram. I was very comfortable on Instagram. I was very happy on Instagram. And I had a lot of mental blocks around LinkedIn and old network, feeling very exposed, I suppose, on LinkedIn. And I just avoided it. If I met someone at networking and they said you were on LinkedIn, I was like, I am. So I was very much, and there are still a lot of business owners who are in that boat. There may be casual scrollers, but they're a bit scared to post. So LinkedIn for me has been a journey of discovery for sure. Around about 18 months ago, I essentially decided I'm going to stop behaving like a corporate robot. And if I look back on some of my old posts and what I used to speak, how I used to speak, it's little wonder that it didn't work for me. And I just decided to show up as myself. I developed my authority, my thought leadership around what I taught. I shared a bit of fun stuff as well. And quite quickly, I started to see my network grow. And then I found that it was actually an amazing place to have conversations with people. What we've seen, and I've been in the online space now for about 4.5 years, and we've seen a huge shift, specifically, obviously, with AI and the speed that we can now create content. And to be fair, create quite good content with, as long as it's trained properly. And we're putting the right stuff into it. Therefore, the platforms have just become busier and busier and busier and busier. And the algorithm has obviously shifted on LinkedIn in the last 12 months. There's no deny. Well, LinkedIn have announced that themselves. We know we have a new algorithm. Therefore, just putting content on the platform anymore is very much a hope and post strategy, or post and hope, should I say, strategy. And what I tend to find is when people rely on content alone, they're also probably relying on inbound referrals, which are very difficult to actually get any consistency with in your business. So the missing piece is using LinkedIn for nurture. So it's creating content, growing your network, but then having a strategy and a system in place to actually nurture that network.
Right. So it's different from the sort of typical post and hope approach, where you're just posting content regularly and hoping that something will happen, as opposed to sort of now actually nurturing the value and the content that you've actually posted.
Yeah, content's important. If you get your content strategy correct, then it can absolutely turn heads and make people nod along, and you can resonate with people via your content. And you do get inbound. I get inbound inquiries from my content, but I know I can't rely on those, and that's the missing piece. And actually, I argue that I could post very little and I would still have success on the platform because of the other bit of the platform, the invisible bit of the platform that we don't see, which is the nurturing and the DMs and the engagement that you can do, which I think people see that as people often see. I've posted, I've ticked a box, now I move on to the next thing on my list. And actually, that should just be the start of the journey.
Right. And what's your approach around once you've made contacts on LinkedIn? Because I think a lot of people do find as well that it's difficult when you're sending connection requests to people, that it's just radio silence for a long period of time, and you're trying to find people to connect with it, and maybe posts and things that have resonated, and you want to actually have these relationships. But when you don't get any responses, what's maybe some approaches they can do relating to that? Is it worth commenting on some of the posts that the people that you're trying to connect with, so they see you and things like that? Could you maybe walk us through a couple of things that people can do? Because I've been in this situation. I'll send some requests out and it's radio silence for a while.
Yeah, sure. And it is a numbers game, as sales always has been.
Right.
Whatever you sell, you can apply maths to it. So on LinkedIn, you have around about 20 connection requests a day that you can send out. So around about 100 a week. And I will connect with people. My initial message is always a warm and friendly one. I don't send messages with my connections personally. Obviously, that is an option depending on what you pay for now because they've reduced the number down that you can send. It's always a warm, friendly message. And essentially, I then move people into a nurture pool where they sit, and I track all of those contacts. And my job is to nurture them, which is to show up, which is to support them, which might be to refer them. I have probably around about 300, 350 people sitting in my nurture pool at the moment, which sounds like a lot, I know. But the reality is not everyone posts every day. Some people post only once a week. So actually checking in on those people is fairly easy for me. I know what most of them do pretty clearly because they're in my nurture pool, which means I can refer them. If someone says, oh, I need I don't know, someone who does SEO for this particular business. I'm like, I know someone who does that. And a referral is a huge boost of nurture. Yeah. Because you think, wow, Janine remembered I did that and she's actually referred me on. So that nurture pool has various different takes various different forms. It's then about having a value ladder in your business. So you're not going from, hi Neil, nice to meet you. Oh, I do this thing and it's £3,000. It's very transactional. You have of little steps that people can move on to. So that might be a workshop, it might be a free workshop, it might be a paid workshop, it might be some sort of audit call. There's lots of different ways that things you can put on your value ladder that mean that the nurture just gently moves people along the journey to becoming a client. That's essentially nurture first selling in its most basic form. Is we don't cold DM. One of the interesting things about nurture first selling that I've only come to realize kind of later on is that it's all backed by psychology. I'm not a psychologist, I don't claim to be, but when you actually look at the way human beings are, the fact that we go into defense mode if somebody attacks us, like our body sees a cold pitch as an attack. Reciprocity is a big part of it because I've showed up, I've supported, I've commented, I've referred. Therefore, you're so much more likely to remember me and then want to find out more about working with me.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I love that approach whereby you're not just going in for the hard sell straight away. You just made contact. You think, oh, this is a contact now. I can just try and sell them some stuff. They don't know anything about you, right? You haven't even showed up on their posts, as you said. That you haven't even commented. You haven't even sort of engaged. And I think that's the difference now with LinkedIn, where it is rewarding that real life engagement as opposed to just, mindlessly posting things out and hoping that people will bite.
Absolutely. And I think what we've seen now in the last, I don't know when it came in, maybe 6 months ago with the impressions on the engagement, you can see just how far engagement can reach. You see people getting 45, 50,000 impressions on a comment. So don't forget the engagement. But again, it's very easy to open the app and just be like, oh, I'll do 15 minutes of engagement, but you're very much throwing spaghetti at the wall if there's no strategy to it. And the way the
Right.
algorithm is at the moment, it tends to deliver top posts. You'll notice a lot of the posts you get delivered are the ones that have already got quite a lot of engagement on. So
Yeah.
doing it in an intentional way is a lot more useful than just thinking, oh, I'll spend 15 minutes engaging on some posts.
Martin, do you have a
So how,
question?
how, how do
Yeah.
you actually, yeah, how do you actually get people into your nurture pool? Are you using Sales Navigator or anything like that? Or, what's the process for the qualification exercise that you're using to get people into that pool? Because I'm assuming whoever's in that pool, it's not just anybody, it's people who you've identified are the correct profile.
So I can cast my net fairly wide because obviously, if you're a service-based business owner, the chances are you may need some help with sales. Like there are some very good people, but there's also a lot who struggle. Personally, I haven't got Nav at the moment or Navigator. I think it's very expensive. I don't use it enough personally to be able to warrant the cost of it. I've had it quite recently and I wasn't using it. If you've got quite a specific industry though, Nav is a good place to start for sure. So if you're for instance only looking for, I don't know, SEO providers in the Midlands, then Nav's a great place to do it. I personally don't do it with Nav. They go into the nurture pool when they reply to me. So if you don't reply, then problem. But that's essentially when nurture kicks in, is upon response. And this isn't this isn't necessarily the way it has is for every business. If you're corporate, i.e., you're selling to corporates who aren't posting, it becomes a bit more difficult because if they're not posting, there's nothing for you to engage with. So then it kind of changes again. But if people are posting, you move them to nurture once you've had that initial conversation with them.
Okay, that makes perfect sense because I think along winding the clock back here, but when I was building a business for face-to-face events, I did use Sales Navigator because very specifically I had a vertical that was very narrow and I wanted people in Scotland only because there was, a driving distance to the event effectively that was a great qualification. but I sort of got to 5,000-ish contacts and then just stopped using it because it's too expensive. And I had got everything that I needed from it. And it's interesting to hear you talking about the engagement side of things, because I guess I didn't really need that. I just needed the contact, and then I would post and they would either come or they wouldn't. So the nurturing of a long-term contact sounds really interesting.
Yeah, and if you look at that from an event point of view, and funnily enough, a couple of weeks ago on Instagram, someone followed me. The minute they followed me, they sent me a DM saying, "Oh, you would be amazing at my event that I'm running next month." And I thought, and I actually messaged her back. I sat on it for about an hour, and I thought, no, I'm going to message her, and I'm going to say, I would be far more likely to come to your event if you'd have spent a few weeks actually nurturing our relationship. You know, comment on my posts, make yourself seen in my world. Um, yeah, and she assured me that she'd been watching my stuff for ages, and of course she had. I was like, okay, I'm not coming to your event.
One thing I wanted to pick up on there, and Martin just had a comment from Said. He says your audio is a little bit low. It is compared to Janine's. I don't know if you can tweak your audio up a little bit, Martin, but Janine is sounding loud and proud, which is great. I wanted to pick something up, Janine, that you mentioned around when you only sort of put them in the nurturing pool once they've responded to you. And is that responding on basically maybe a comment on a post that you've commented back to them, or is that like the DM? Because I guess my next question would be sort of like, when is it time to DM somebody? Because obviously you can follow somebody. There's like 3 steps, isn't there? You can follow somebody on LinkedIn where you just see their posts in your feed. You can then ask them to connect with you, which is a connection request. And then obviously you can also comment on their posts and things that they're doing. So can you just tell us at what stage is like when you bring them into the nurturing pool, and then when is the right time, if there is a right time, to start DMing?
Oh, for me, it's on connection, and not straight away because that feels like automation, but within a day or so of connecting, I will message them.
Right.
That's when nurture starts. So, as I say, it's never, I don't even mention my business in the initial message. It's always just a thanks for connecting. Nice to have you here. I usually ask them a question, and then if they reply, um, that's when they move, as I say, to a nurture.
Right. Right. And I think that's how we connected, right? I think I can't remember who connected with who first, but it was not anything like, hey, I'm going to pitch you this or whatever. It was just a really nice, friendly, seen your post or would love to connect, that type of thing. And I think that just helps with I guess the backlash that you potentially get when people are trying to sell, because you know the difference when somebody's actually trying to sell you versus when they're actually genuinely interested in what you do. But I do get a lot of requests as well from people that are not sort of in my wheelhouse, or they're just like random requests, and you can tell that it's just, well, somebody's just gone out and done maybe a search on Sales Navigator and just tried to connect with as many people as possible. So yeah, I think it is very interesting how to actually nurture these people. It's a very good approach, I think.
Yeah, no, it is. And I think there's a fear around DMing, and I get
Mm,
it. I've been there. I think when you first start, you're very aware. It's a bit like email and subscribes. You know, when you first build your email list and people start unsubscribing from it, you're like, what's going on?
right.
But I think the more messages you send, like every so often I get a message from someone who's like, I'm so sorry it's taken me so long to reply. And I'm like, okay, like that's lovely, you've apologized, but it's literally water off a duck's back to me if someone doesn't reply to me now. It's a numbers game, and part of nurture first selling is knowing your numbers, knowing, I know how many messages I need to send to have a face to Zoom, a
Hmm.
conversation with somebody, and I know how many of those conversations will turn into potential clients. So it really is, as crass as it sounds, it is a numbers game. And the more
Yeah.
DMs you send, the happier you will be sending them, the less you will care that people don't reply, and the more results you'll get.
Yeah, it is a little bit. I know you mentioned about selling without the ick. It is a little bit cringy when, when you're writing that first DM and you don't know this person from anybody. You have had some contact with them and things, and you think, oh, are they going to respond? And it is a little bit like that. You're absolutely right. Those first few DMs, you just feel a little bit, oh, and then you get stressed, or I do, when they don't respond back to you, and you think, what have I done wrong? Why are they not responding? But you have to just like move on, because you've mentioned before that a lot of these corporate companies or representatives of these big corporate companies, there's like a team maybe behind them. They're trying to find like B2B contacts and not really wanting to engage with solopreneurs and things like that. So I think it is a different sort of mindset when you're trying to contact the bigger businesses versus the solopreneurs, because I think that people are more genuinely wanting to connect a network if you're a smaller business, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. Corporate is a different beast, and depending on your industry, it would depend on whether this will work. It can work, it's just different. It's a much longer cycle with corporate, and it involves other marketing. It involves you needing to be able to maybe, send the initial message where with corporate, I would say who you are and what you do. I wouldn't ask them how their weekend was. If you're like
Right.
talking to, a marketing director with a blue chip, they probably don't want to tell you how their weekend was. Um, but it's about kind of being strategic with, well, what could I put together that's going to be interesting for them? One of the things that I'm a massive fan of at the moment is the workshop model. And I think there's a workshop in everybody's business, a free workshop that again accelerates that nurture. Because if you can get people on a Zoom with you or in a room with you and you can add value to them, solve a problem that they have, so corporates will often talk about what can we put together that's going to be interesting for the people that you're targeting, and go about it in a different way. But it might take you a year to convert someone in the DMs when you're selling to big corporates. It's definitely a numbers game then.
Right.
Yeah, and I think we ought to. I think the likes of all of us on this call, we've probably got LinkedIn switched on 24/7. It's there all the time. And I think we need to remember there's a lot of people, in particular in corporate, they're just on LinkedIn once or twice a month or something. They don't see your DMs. So it's not that they're not responding to them, they just genuinely haven't bothered going on LinkedIn because they're too busy being tracked by lots of people, or they're tired of the content that's no use to them. So I think we just need to remember not everybody's on LinkedIn all the time, and don't be too disheartened that they haven't responded instantaneously.
Yeah, and if there's a stat, isn't there? Is it 1% of people post regularly? So that's
Yeah.
99% of people on LinkedIn who are casual scrollers and just consuming, not posting. I was talking to somebody earlier about this, about my first job in sales 25 years ago, nearly, was cold calling. That's what we had to do. If you wanted to find your people, you picked the phone up and you rang people, and you picked the phone up again and you rang again. And it was like 100, 120 calls a day. And it frustrates me when people moan about social media in a way, because I'm like, we have a free platform. It's free unless you need to pay for Navigator. And even then, if you're using it, it's 25 quid a week, isn't it? And you can go and find your people and you can interact with them directly. And that's all. I always say, if it had existed like it did now when I was in corporate sales, I would have been all over it,
Yeah.
because it's an incredible platform.
And it's one of the oldest social media platforms as well. People forget about that. It's been around for a very long time. It's got over is it a billion users or something worldwide,
Mhm.
something like that. So it's an incredible large resource. But I want to bring on to this other question I was going to ask you, which LinkedIn has got a reputation as a serious professional network, right? So CVs, job hunting, that's what LinkedIn, when I said growing up, when I was in corporate, it was all about, finding a job and things like that. But you're using it more of as a relationship and a sales engine. So how does sort of that compare to people's perception, and what have you found different than like things like YouTube or Instagram or other like social media platforms? Because you're using it very differently. So we talk a little bit
Um,
about that.
one of the reasons I really like LinkedIn for a nurturing business development platform is the predictability it offers. So if I connect with 20 people, certainly when we're in that, I don't like the word solopreneur, but I'll use it because you know what it means. When we're in that space, which is very much kind of where a lot of my clients live, they're passion-led owner run businesses. Um, and I can add 20 people a day, and I know that 15 of those will accept my connection. Not everybody does. Again, that becomes water for ducks back as well, because I don't know, I don't even look who hasn't accepted me. And that means I can start 15 new conversations a day if I choose to. And no other platform offers that level of predictability. Instagram doesn't. I could follow 20 people on Instagram. Two might follow me back, none might follow me back. Once people get to a certain level of account on Instagram, they tend to not follow back. So it becomes very unpredictable. LinkedIn has changed, you're right. I only went on LinkedIn when I needed a new job
Right,
20
exactly.
years
Right,
ago.
that's what people used it for back in the day. Finding openings and positions and things like that.
Yeah, it frustrates me at the moment because it does reward personal content. So jokingly, I mean, I've been viral quite a few times on LinkedIn. I don't chase virality anymore because it brings in the wrong people. It can start some nice conversations, but at the same time, it brings the fools, the idiots,
Right.
the this isn't Facebook crew,
Yeah.
and the keyboard warriors. They're fun. Um, and yeah, but it's frustrating when you put something on that's maybe more personal and then you get that this isn't Facebook crew, but exactly what the algorithm rewards is the posts that are like Facebook posts. So yeah, it's a balance, isn't it? Of like, how much do you share? I don't like oversharing. I don't like trauma dumping. You see a lot of it. I don't
Oh
like it
yeah.
though. I always try and keep my posts fairly upbeat and light-hearted.
That's
And
interesting.
that, yeah.
Um, Go
And
ahead,
what
Martin.
type of posts are you? Because obviously LinkedIn has changed a lot, but some people seem to love carousel type posts, others video type posts. Neil and I prefer to do live stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but what type of content from that perspective? Short written pieces, long written pieces, carousels, video. What do you recommend?
I think your analytics will give you the answer to that. I would recommend that you test different types of posts because your audience will respond to different things. I personally hate really long posts. I can't be bothered to read them. So when I see these big blocks of text, I haven't got the capacity for it. So I tend to have my posts of maybe like the 4 paragraphs. Is about the sweet spot for me. Carousels for me don't do particularly well on the platform. They might do for somebody else though. Video I stopped doing on LinkedIn because they took the video feed away, and now it's back. So obviously I need to have a look at that again. But I think it's really easy to get so hung up on what you're posting that A, if you're not careful, you don't post anything. It becomes a point of procrastination. And B, I say, I don't think it really matters what you're posting if you're doing the other stuff. As long as you're posting something and it's not complete tosh. I love LinkedIn because I can just put a picture and some words and fire a post off. I don't have to faff around. On Instagram, I'm editing and reels and trending audio and everything else. LinkedIn, I love the fact it's simple.
That is a very good
I think
point.
that's a really good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've had somebody on this show, Charlie Hills, and he's got a gazillion followers on LinkedIn. He's only 28 or something, and they're following him to learn about AI. And he's totally convinced that the carousels are the way to go. So I thought, I'll try a couple of carousels, which just went nowhere. But for Charlie, they are his thing, and they are incredibly popular. And he is now sort of, I suppose, stretched that out to say everybody should be doing carousels. And I said, no, I don't think that's right. I think it's whatever people are expecting from you. That's what they expect from Charlie, and they're really good quality, good content. So he now thinks that everybody should do these because that's been successful for Charlie. But what you're saying is exactly what I'm saying. I think is it's what people expect from you in terms of content style and content type, as opposed to, one or the other is good and one or the other is not so good, and just A/B test everything until you find out what the numbers say.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think about how any of the platforms work from an algorithm, they will work on kind of a dwell time. So obviously a carousel works because somebody swipes through it. Um, but I say I don't find they've been brilliantly successful for me. I don't use anything that's got any kind of graphic design on it on LinkedIn at all. So I never put a Canva image ever on LinkedIn. It's always a photo of me. I'm quite lucky that I have a lot of photos of me, um, but that's what mine always are. They are just photos of me, which again is a thing you've got to get over because when you first start posting photos of yourself, you're like, oh God, this is horrible. But it gets easier.
I do like the fact that you've mentioned that there's not a huge amount of heavy lifting when it comes to posting on LinkedIn in terms of having to get a design looking a certain way and so on. There's a lot more effort, as you mentioned, going into the likes of TikTok and Instagram, where people have to stop the scroll. Basically, you have to be over and above whatever everybody else is doing. And LinkedIn at the moment is a little bit more noiseless, for want of a better term. You don't have to do a huge amount of flashy stuff in order to get the responses from the audience. As long as you're delivering some value and creating some content that resonates with people, as you said, you can post pretty much more sort of personal, light-hearted, non-corporate type of material that seems to do well as well. Like, for example, your post last week, I think it was last week, I think you posted about being in Tennessee and you posted a picture and just some notes like that. And, I was reading that. I thought, this is cool. It's interesting. It just gives me a little bit of insight of who you are, because there's a lot of people that are just hiding behind maybe their brand or a persona and not really just sort of just being out there and just, I don't want to use the word vulnerable because that's not what we're here for, but at least being a little bit more realistic and sort of showing the person behind that. Because at the end of the day, people buy from people. They don't buy from an AI avatar, or they don't buy from a nice flashy graphic. They're actually buying from that particular person.
That they are, and I hate the AI imagery. I think it's awful.
We'll
I'm
let you go
very
then. No, I'm just kidding. I know we do a little
one
bit here.
thing. One thing that I would say to anyone who's finding it difficult on LinkedIn, it made a huge difference to me was investing in a brand shoot. How I showed up was completely different once I'd had a proper brand shoot. A good brand photographer who knows what you're trying to achieve. A lot of my photos now aren't from my brand shoot because I burnt through them quite quickly. But I'm lucky that I've got a partner who gets it and he takes lots of photos of me and I think that's one of the reasons my posts do well is because I have a lot of interesting photos. If there's like a wall mural or something, I'm there. A bit of graffiti, I'm like anything like that. So whilst I don't necessarily do things like carousels and see success with them, I think one of the reasons people stop on my posts is because my images are quite eye-catching.
Right. And it's not necessarily related to the fact that you are in the sales game. You're not trying to push every post that you do something related to your business. It's just showing a little bit of you, a little bit of an insight, maybe where you are and things like that. And I think people have, well, me personally, have shied away from that type of posting on LinkedIn because there is this assumption that LinkedIn is the professional business network and you should not be posting anything that's sort of Facebooky, Instagrammy, or whatever. And I'm not saying we should go and start posting, gifts and all kinds of stuff. But a lot of the people that I follow, and there's a couple of people in the chat as well, they do post some funny stuff, and I like reading it because it doesn't always have to be, corporate-y, selling a particular thing. You just want to see what that person and what they're up to, I think.
Yeah. And the people who do it well, that's exactly what they do. They have a mix of content. You have to post about your business because that's why you're there.
Of course.
But you mix that with other stuff. And as you say, people buy from people. Like that hasn't changed. Like that hasn't changed in a very long time. We've lost somewhere along the way. The last 5, 6 years have been interesting. We've got to go from you don't do one-to-one because you're trading time for money. So you've got to set group things up and you've got to automate everything and you've got to have funnels and we've lost the human touch, and then AI's come along and changed the scope again. And I think it's time to strip business back to the
Hmm.
fact that people buy from people.
We have a lots of
I
this has
think the
started a little bit
algorithm.
of a rage in the chat, Martin. You carry on, and I'll bring up some chat
Yeah,
messages.
I think
It's starting to kick
it's
off.
interesting to hear the changes in the algorithm as well, and the attitude of LinkedIn, who have got a knee jerk against AI slop. Right, they're not having that anymore, so they've definitely cut that down. But what we've found between Neil and I, just in the last few weeks, really, because I've been doing some live content on LinkedIn, and over the last couple of years, LinkedIn Live and still is the Wild West. So you don't know if anybody is going to turn up at all on a live. But we've been getting more people turn up on the lives. But the really interesting thing is, post live, when the live has finished, LinkedIn is now promoting replays of live content. I reckon 400% more than it was 6 months ago. And I think that is a reaction from LinkedIn saying there is nothing more genuine than actually live conversation between you and the audience in real time. And therefore, it's going to promote that way higher than anything that looks like it's been generated by AI in terms of the content. So I think, in theory, you never know what LinkedIn are actually doing, but that's my guess.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because you're absolutely right. I mean, unfortunately, AI can do video as well now, can't it? I've always said video was a good AI killer, but it's moved along again. So lives, yeah, it's well, the problem is now with the help of AI, anyone can kind of anyone can call themselves a business coach. I can use AI to create a strategy and I can even market it. There are people promoting themselves as fractional marketeers, and I've seen things and I think that's just AI. Like I could have done that myself. So the way to show your expertise, as you say, is to show up. That's one of the reasons the workshops work really well, because it's an opportunity to show up and actually show that you know your stuff.
Fractional marketing. I've never heard that term before, but that's interesting. So we've got we've got a couple of comments. I'll just go through a few because there's been people been commenting. I'll make sure these comments actually pop on the screen. They do. So Florence is very happy in this topic. There's a couple of comments here from Val. Val, thank you for joining us. Welcome back. Val is our moderator to keep the
Hey,
chat
Val.
as it is. So Val is one of those casual LinkedIn people. I know I'm missing quite a lot by not using the power of it. And that's the problem, right? You have got to invest some time in LinkedIn. And as I think you mentioned, Janine, I mean, you're not on LinkedIn 24 hours a day as Martin is, because every time I post something, Martin's always there. I don't know how you're doing it. Maybe it's AI Martin. I'm not sure. But let's take that question for a second. So what is a good, I mean, it's different for everybody, but how much time should you be on LinkedIn is question one. And two, which is a question I get a lot from people, and I don't have the answer. How frequently should you be posting on LinkedIn?
That's the golden question, isn't it?
It is.
For me personally, obviously, this is a big part of what I do. Like, it's where my business comes from. It's where my conversations all start. I probably spend about an hour a day
Okay.
throughout the day,
It's not a lot.
which I actually block my social media apps of an evening. I block them all because otherwise I don't switch off. So they're all padlocked away from about 7 o'clock. Otherwise I doom scroll, which is no good for me. So yeah, around about an hour a day. The same. My nurture takes about 35, about half an hour, 35 minutes. Then I post. That doesn't take me very long, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, depending on what I'm posting. And then I'll check back in sort of later in the day and just reply to anyone who's messaged me. So it's not a huge amount of time. Developing a business does take time.
It
Like
does, definitely.
I always joke about the Kevin Costner Field of Dreams thing. Like, that whole build it and they will come. And it's like, it doesn't work like that.
No.
You've got to take it to people.
And do you post daily? Because I do see posts from you quite frequently. Are you a daily poster? Are you a 3 times a week poster? I mean, I've heard these different things about not over posting on LinkedIn because LinkedIn doesn't like you because it thinks it's an AI or it thinks it's some automation that's constantly pushing out stuff on the feed. What's your sort of thoughts around that?
Yeah, I don't generally post more than once a day. I've heard too that it kills your reach if you post too many times in a day. I post at the moment every day, but I'm in promotion. When you're in sales mode, obviously, and you're launching something or leading up to something, you post more. Annoyingly, you post perform terribly because you're selling. Um, since the algorithm changed, I spent about a year posting every day, every single day, not the weekends, but Monday through Friday. I probably, when I'm not actively selling, promoting something with my content, is about 3 times a week because they hang around for a lot longer now.
Right. So they don't like disappear. It's not like certain platforms where they just you post and disappear. Go ahead, Martin.
Yeah, I was going to say, and do you ever use the boost functionality? Because basically, for those who don't know, most posts, the visibility of them has dropped through the floor in the last few months because LinkedIn have monetized everything and they want you to boost everything. So the way they've done that is they have physically throttled everything. I mean, literally down 90% in some cases to get you to use the boost. And if you go to the boost functionality, then you can choose various different job roles and locations in the world and age limits and things like that to give you a targeted audience that you can then pay a boost for. Typically, the minimum spend I think is £8 a day, minimum 2 days for a boost. But what's your experience? Have you tried the boost functionality, and what's your thoughts on that?
I have never boosted a post on LinkedIn, no. I say because of the way I approach it, the content, I think a year ago before the algorithm changed, or how about last summer it changed, wasn't it? So just over a year ago. I'd say it was like a 50-50 split. Like my content would do a lot of the hard work for me, and then I could spend the time in the DMs and doing the nurturing. I'd say like my content I see as like 20% importance now. 80% of what I do is driven by the activity that I do that's not posting, which is why I don't boost. I'm not saying I'll never boost, but I never have boosted. Um, yeah, so I haven't used it. I've used it on Facebook. Obviously, that's where they got the idea from. But I've never done it on LinkedIn. I've never played with paid ads at all on LinkedIn, incidentally.
Interesting. You've been successful without doing that, and that just shows the power of regular posting, nurturing, and some methodology that you're using as well. You don't necessarily have to spend the money to boost the posts. Um, Val mentioned that she loves the idea of keeping it simple, right? As you mentioned, not creating something like too over the top and so on. Scott, who's joined us, who used to be part of LinkedIn. Hi, Scott. Thanks for joining us. He thinks the brand shoot is an excellent idea. And that's something, and when you say a brand shoot, that's like professional photographs of you, maybe something that you're doing right into your brand, and then having a suite of those that you can regularly harvest and then repurpose and post out over a period of time and so on, which is because that then promotes the professionalism of your brand and not just starting with some random selfies from Corfu, for example, which probably wouldn't be a good idea or something like that. I don't know. Maybe people like that idea. The big thing from Saeed is saying, can we start a little AI content rant, please? So we've all got different feelings on an AI. I think it's important just to maybe mention that real quick. I know we've said that LinkedIn is not liking the AI slop, but what about generally or genuinely good AI type content, and what elements of AI would you, if anything, Janine, incorporate into your daily posting on LinkedIn? Or is that something you will never use?
No, I use AI. I coach my clients to use it. As I say, my take on AI is that if it's trained well, having AI producing good stuff is as good as what you put into it. Yeah. I think if you understand your ideal clients and you understand their fears and their frustrations, their aspirations and their goals, and you feed and you do lots of work on training it, it can produce some good stuff. I always recommend you use it as a starting point though. So, taking what it's created and then putting your own voice on it. Interestingly, I find it interesting, Martin, you said that they've obviously had this backlash against AI slop on LinkedIn. Have you ever used the AI button on LinkedIn?
No.
No, I haven't actually. I don't think.
It's
It was terrible.
terrible.
That's probably why then. Don't use, but maybe they're saying just don't use our AI LinkedIn piece, but I'm not sure. Maybe that's what
It's
it is.
literally, you know, like how when ChatGPT first came out and it was just like, it
Nonsense.
says like rewrite this post with AI. I'm like, why don't you just take that button away? But yeah, I'm not against AI at all. I think anything that makes your life easier, again, because I see my content as 20% of what I do, I want to create my content fairly quickly. I don't want to spend, I was a copywriter, so I can write copy, which probably means that I'm quite good at taking AI content and making it my own. But at the same time, I don't want my clients to spend hours on their content. I want them talking to people. So if I can help them to use AI in a better way, then I will. Yeah,
Scott's saying it must use Microsoft Copilot. Point taken, Scott, because that is not a very good AI
I
engine
haven't
right
used that
now.
one.
But it's not great. It's integrated in all Microsoft Office products, and lots of companies apparently, mentioning no names, have been rolling it out and not having very good success with it. So I can see where Scott's coming from there. Just on the AI theme, I'll come to you in a second, Martin. Val's mentioned around headshots and so on. Does it matter about AI creating those assets relating to brand and headshots? What's your feeling on that?
You could probably guess what my feeling on that's going to
Well, you
be.
can you can give us the answer.
I think they're awful. I just
Right.
think they're awful. I think you look soulless. Um, I can see why people do it. And yeah, and obviously LinkedIn will often mark something as AI as well. You get the little symbol, don't you, that comes up.
Oh, I've never seen that. What is that
Yeah.
related to a
No, I've never
post
seen that.
or some imagery or I have never
It,
seen that.
it doesn't always flag it. It comes up with like a little CR and it's a little symbol, doesn't it? You've seen it,
Oh,
Martin. Um,
Hmm.
my take on brand shoots are go and get one. If you can't afford one, find somebody who you get on really well with to just go out with your phone and go and sit in a coffee shop and take some photos of you. Like, don't turn to AI for your photos. Because
yeah.
the thing is, as well, like, I always say, like, oh, you must have had this where you get on a call with someone and you're like, that's not you. So
Oh, I
it's
see
just,
from the
yeah.
picture. Yeah. Well, we've had that in real life as well, but that's another story altogether. But in terms of in terms of video, yeah, you're right. I mean, you do see some images of people then, and I've experienced this. A couple of clients have joined, and I'm like, you almost feel like saying, "Is such and such a body joining?" Because obviously the person in front of me is not the person that's in the actual image. But anyway, Martin, obviously you do a lot of work with AI and imagery and graphics and things. What's your take on the whole AI thing and using it within reason?
Yeah, well, I think if you know a great photographer like Val, who is a great photographer, and Val, I did see the clip of Michael surprising you for your birthday out. That's rather wonderful. Anyway, I have used AI for taking shots. So we take shots, but it's a specific tool. So there is a specific headshot generator tool with AI, which works really, really well. So don't go to ChatGPT or any of these other Claude or any other and just say, make me look good. But there are some which are very good, and there is one in particular, and I'm going to forget the name of it. It's Clean
Headshot
Headshots
Pro, I
or
think, something
something
like that.
like that.
Hmm.
Headshot Pro is it?
I think so.
And you have to upload like 20 images of yourself. It will then go through those 20 images and produce 100 for you and let you set criteria like backgrounds and what you're wearing and things like that. But it does an exceptional job of recreating your face. It looks just like you and it gives you 100 headshots.
Okay.
So there are ways of doing it, but they're not the ways 99.9% of people would do, which is just to go to ChatGPT and
Yeah.
get them to
Yeah.
give me a LinkedIn headshot from this picture. It will
Yeah.
be rubbish. So
It will get better, I'm sure. Like it sounds like it
mm,
already has. I think the key thing is be genuine. I know I had a rant on LinkedIn before Christmas because I literally saw somebody that I know and she'd like created a whole team. that she doesn't have. I'm like,
Oh, I
it's
see.
just
Right. It's
be
like
on it. You know, she was like, Merry Christmas from me and the team. And I'm like, you haven't got a team.
the team of you and your AI board of directors, for example, or something like that. And just speaking of AI, I mean, I'm working with people, and I have colleagues in the industry that are actually using AI now to sort of run parts of their business, which is a great idea in terms of doing certain functions that you can one afford to get somebody in and do. So there's lots of good sort of frameworks for AI and things that you can get it to do. But like you've said before, and I've used AI for content and all kinds of other stuff, it's all about the context, though. If you don't give it context, you don't tell it about you, your business, your ideal client. If you don't know your ideal client, then you shouldn't even be using AI to generate content for your business until you know exactly who you're trying to sell to. That's just like, that's the basic fundamentals. So giving it the right context about you, I think, is the important thing, or it is going to generate slop, because slop is just basically hallucinogenic type nonsense that it just spits out because it doesn't know anything about you from a
Yeah,
realistic perspective.
absolutely. Yeah,
I
and I
mean,
think
bottom line, sorry, I was going to say the bottom line there is that AI doesn't innovate. All it's doing is it's taking stuff from everywhere else and regurgitating. So innovation comes from people.
Exactly.
yeah,
Sorry, Janine,
I
you were
think
going to
if
say.
you go into AI and saying like, write me some posts about video on LinkedIn, for instance, then you're going to get a load of rubbish. I think if you though have this, some authority around LinkedIn and video, therefore your approach to to AI is, can you write me a post about, for instance, LinkedIn being LinkedIn Lives, what you said earlier, like you going to AI and saying, write me a post about this, that's come from your authority.
Hmm. That's right.
So using AI to create it, because not everyone is a copywriter, yeah, not everyone is born to be a writer. I'm quite lucky, I'm good at it, but I know lots of people aren't. So if you're putting thought leadership authority content into you're going to get better stuff than just saying, write me some posts about.
Yeah, exactly. Saeed says, imagine you actually join a Zoom call with all of those people, realizing they look nothing like their presence on LinkedIn. Yeah, that would be a bit of a start, wouldn't it? When you join that Zoom call and everybody looks very different. I'm just going to ask the audience any more questions, because we're coming up to last orders at the bar time, because it's nearly 6 o'clock. Believe it or not, we've only got 7 minutes to go, and I wanted to make sure that we talk a little bit about Janine's up and coming workshop, because you've mentioned about workshops quite a lot. So we have your workshop details here. Can you tell the audience a little bit about this workshop, which is going ahead next week, starting which day is it specifically?
So it's next Tuesday and Wednesday morning. It's 3 hours each morning with some breaks. It's not constant 3 hours, don't worry. And it's the first one I've run. It's come about again from watching the industry and the market and how the way things are. I think lots of us are over wanting to sit in 6 month long cohorts where we're drip fed content and we have to watch loads of recorded stuff in a portal. So it's a little bit different, but I'm like, I can teach this to people in 6 hours. I can teach you the whole methodology. I can give you the systems that you need to go and implement this into your business by the end of day two. And yeah, I just think people want action now. They don't want loads more knowledge. They just want someone to say, this is what you need to do and this is how you do it. Go and do it. So the workshop, yeah, is a new format for me, but I'm quite excited about it. And there's only 10 spaces, so
Fantastic.
it's not a big group. Again, we've all sat on Zoom calls with way too many people, and felt like a bit lost. So it's very much a hands-on, want everyone to get involved type workshop.
Perfect. I love the fact that it's limited as well, that you don't get a ton of people on there. As you said, it's nice to have a very small cohort to work with. So if you are interested in doing better on LinkedIn and selling on LinkedIn and just being a better person on LinkedIn, then go and scan this QR code. I've put the link in the description of the show and also in the chat. So sign up to Janine's course. There is a couple of other questions that's just come in, or one question from Saeed. I don't know the answer to this. How do you manage your inbox on LinkedIn? It's hell without any external tools.
Yeah, it is. And we know that LinkedIn doesn't particularly like external tools, which then becomes another challenge. uh, I don't really manage mine. I don't really. The thing is, I don't tend to be having like very long conversations with people in the DMs. It tends to be quite a short exchange. And then I move back onto the platform where I'm going to comment on their stuff. But yeah, I haven't found a way of a decent inbox management. So if you do find one, let me know.
Yes, he's right because and you're right too. I've been looking at ways of connecting to LinkedIn via APIs, just to try and either use Claude or some AI tool to actually just do something with LinkedIn. And you have to go through a whole world of pain in order to just get anything simple. All I wanted was to automate the posts that I do on LinkedIn with regards to scheduling the live shows. I use other tools to do that right now, and it would have been nice to do something a bit easier because LinkedIn's changing the way that events are created. As of next week, you have to create the event, and then if you're doing a live stream, it's a little bit more convoluted. I'm not sure why they're doing it because it's hard enough for people to go live and post videos on LinkedIn as it is. Now they're just adding that extra little bit of complexity to it. Not sure why they're doing that. But, you know, it is Microsoft. What can we say about it? So there's a few things happening there. Any more things from you, Janine, before we slowly start to wrap up? Any sort of closing nuggets of wisdom for people who are just not yet really sort of starting their LinkedIn journey? They've got a profile. They may have a few connections. Maybe one question to you is, what would be the first thing to do to re-energize their LinkedIn workflow if they were to sort of start tomorrow morning?
So if someone was sitting there with a profile that they hadn't done anything with for a long time, I would write an introduction post and say who you are. Again, just literally say I haven't posted for a long time, so I'm just doing a reintroduction post. They're quite nice to post every so often anyway. Yeah, my biggest piece of advice would be to just do it. Get over the tumbleweed because the tumbleweed is strong on LinkedIn. Like those, I used to post posts, and if no one liked them, I used to delete them.
Oh, wow. Okay. So they wouldn't even be there as a history. They'd just be gone. Right.
It's gone. Like,
Wow.
yeah, I felt so on show on LinkedIn. And then when I got out of my own way, I think it's like you said earlier, Neil, about we have a tendency as human beings to think that everything's centered on us, don't we? Like they didn't accept my connection request, therefore there must be something
Yeah,
wrong
there
with
must be
me.
something wrong
They
with
didn't
you.
reply to my message, therefore I'm gonna give up for the rest of the day. I just think getting out of your own way and remembering that, you know what, the world doesn't revolve around you. It's a numbers game, as I say. The more messages you send, the more connection requests you make, the more time you spend on the platform, the more it's going to give back to you.
Wonderful. And it is difficult as well, but as you said, when people haven't posted for a long time, but that introductory post, I think, is good. And for people who are changing industry, both Martin and I have come from an IT background, and we're actually doing something that we actually love now, something different. Not that we didn't love IT. Well, no, we didn't actually. But anyway, we do love what we're doing now. And it's a slightly different thing. And it's always difficult to sort of say, I was in IT for like 30 years and now I'm doing this. And like, will people hate me? And what will they think of what I'm doing now? You know, all that kind of thing. You have all these sort of self-doubts. But you're right. Just get out there, post something that you're doing. Tell them what you're up to, and if people don't want to connect or remove the connection request from you, so be it. They're not your people, right?
So be it. And I remember when I first started this business, I hadn't been on LinkedIn for many, 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 many years. I hadn't even looked at it. I don't even think I had the app on my phone. And I actually posted a video saying, "Hey, this is what I'm doing now," and it got like 3,000 views, which at the time felt massive. There was a few people in my old network that I removed because I
Okay.
was like, I don't like you when I work with you, so I don't need to
Right.
feel like you're judging me now. And interestingly, over the last year or so, there's quite a few people have either A said, "Oh, I've sent someone your details because they need some help, and I see you posting a lot, and I see what you do." And I've had some really nice messages from people I used to work with saying, "I love what you do. Keep doing it." So these were people I was worried about, and actually they're supporters of me now. So
Amazing. Well, thank you for that. Well, it's at the top of the hour. If you want to stay in the Zoom room for a second, Janine, we'll just say bye bye in a second when we've closed up the show. But thank you so much for all your insights today. It's been super helpful and really useful. And I hope your workshop is a massive success next week. And you've got another workshop coming up in September as well for people if they can't register and get involved in this. There's something coming up. Is it mid-September, something like that?
I haven't secured the date yet. It will probably be towards the end though. So it'll
Okay.
probably sit wherever kind of it's like week commencing 23rd. I don't even know if that's a week in September, but it will be sometime around then. So yeah,
Perfect.
it's likely to be the end. But if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, please do. And I can add you to my mailing list and you'll get all the details and things. So if anyone's interested, just let me know.
Absolutely. Well, I've reposted Janine's contact details in the chat, so you'll see it there. And Janine, thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you in a few minutes. Thanks, Janine. All right. Well, very insightful there. I'm going to start upping my LinkedIn game by at least spending 15 minutes to an hour every day. I know you're already on LinkedIn. You pretty much do that anyway, Martin, but some great insights there, especially for creators who are just like thinking, well, LinkedIn, it's just for professionals. We're not going to use that.
Yeah, I think to some degree, when you are on regularly, you just have to keep going because
Yeah.
if you're not, people think something terrible's happened to you, or he's been run over by a bus.
That's right.
He hadn't been posting on LinkedIn for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't overdo it. But
It's not that terrible.
yeah,
Are you here next week? I can't remember. Or is it the week after that you're away?
I'm here next week and then not the week after.
Okay, so we'll be here same time. I was just wondering whether we'll be here same time, same place next week, Martin and myself, with another fascinating, fun topic. And we'll see you same time, same place on Thursday. For now, bye-bye from Portugal.
Yeah, so maybe Saeed will be the co-host when I'm
Yeah,
away.
we'll have to get
He
him to be
likes
the
do that.
co-host. We'll have to get him. All right, take care. See you soon. Bye.
See you then.